There he goes again.
Yeah, baby!
My little buddy here is exceedingly excited because he just switched to Central Pacific Bank.
It's epic!
Without CPB, I wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
All the places we can go.
The first feature that I wrote was is called After Melee, and it was a relationship. It's about me and my father's relationship actually, and growing up in Kalihi. And so shopping that around to the studios was so rough because they were like, "Oh, can you make it less Hawaiian?" Or like, "Can you change the names of these characters?"
No. Aloha guys, welcome back to Uncut Hawaii. I'm Kobe.
And I'm Andrew, and this is the podcast where we talk with Hawaii's most interesting and innovative creators, entrepreneurs, and change makers.
And today we have Ty Sanga. Ty,
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. We're so stoked.
Mahalo.
He's an award-winning Native Hawaiian filmmaker from Kalihi. He won an Emmy for his PBS series Family Ingredients in 2018. His short film Stone screened at Sundance in 2011. It was the first Native Hawaiian film to premiere at the prestigious festival. His short film Hae Hawaii, about events surrounding the illegal overthrow, has screened at film festivals throughout the world and won the Audience Award at Hawaii International Film Festival in 2018. This year, his feature doc, Hokule'a, Finding the Language of the Navigator, won Best Mid-Hawaii Feature at HIF. Stoked to talk story. Trying not to fangirl.
No, thank you guys. Thank you guys. I was more excited to hang out with you folks because I've known about you guys for such a long time. So I'm thrilled.
It's
Thank
a
you.
small industry.
It is. It is a small community.
Small community. It's really exciting to just connect. And I know we have like friends and similar.
That's the beautiful thing about
Yeah.
Hawaii and the industry, and it's
Yeah.
just like there's so many connections there, and it's like when you finally meet, it's like, oh, we already kind of know each other.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you work with a ton of folks that I know, and we're like, oh, they always
Yeah.
talk about how great you guys are. So I was like, oh, I just can't wait
That's
to
really
meet you.
sweet.
So at HIF, I was so stoked
I
to meet
know.
everybody. I saw you, and like, I ran over you. It's like, hey, Kobe, hi, how's it
I
going?
know. I was telling Andrew, I was like, I saw you, like I know of you, and then when you're like, oh, it's so nice to finally meet you, I'm like, wait, you know me? What? I'm like fangirling, like this
That's
is Ty
hilarious.
Sanga. What the heck?
Yeah.
No,
Too funny.
I'm excited to talk about all the filmmaking stuff. We're
Mhm.
gonna
course.
geek out today.
Did you always know that you wanted to be a filmmaker?
No, actually, I didn't even know that was an opportunity, like a
thing.
career choice. Yeah. My mom and my dad guys all grew up. I mean, they all worked in the hotel industry. Like, so everybody that I knew was either in hotels, either through room service, housekeeping. You know,
It's the hospitality industry.
hospitality.
Big
yeah,
in Hawaii.
Basically, yeah. I mean, that's how they fell in love with each other. They were working in the
Oh,
industry.
nice.
So
Cute.
I was like one of those kids that they'll push you around in the little housekeeping
sick.
cart, and I'll be
Aw.
like in there with the towels and everything.
Aw, cute.
So that's what I thought my career was gonna be.
Uh-huh.
Like so I went to UH Manoa for Tim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
did that for a while. I worked in the hotel industry for 5 years.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
So how did you switch?
Yeah.
That's such an interesting
How did you
like
discover
transition.
that passion?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I it's because being raised in the community or in the industry, I was like, okay, I can get used to this. I'm familiar with how it works, and like, but like knowing like it's like 24/7, 365. I did it for 5 years. I'm like, man, there has to be something more than this, you know. And then like starting to see like what the industry was doing to our community. Like some of the resources that they were expending on like to satisfy the tourism. You know, it was just like it was tough for me to swallow. So like halfway through it, I went back to school. I went back to Manoa. I took an ethnic studies course, and that's where Auntie Daviana McGregor, she screened the documentary Sand Island Story by Vicky Keith, and that floored me. That like, first of all, I was a horrible student. Like I sucked at school. I hated going to school. I didn't enjoy reading. All I did was just want to go hang out with my friends. So like a lot of my homies, they actually dropped out of college and they went into they started working, and that's basically what I did as well. I started working in the hotel industry. And when I realized, like, I don't want to do that, like, I was like, man, what the heck? I got to figure something out. So when I went back to ethnic studies and I sat in that Auntie Daviana McGregor's class and we watched Sand Island Stories, which is about the evictions of the Hawaiian families that out in Sand Island. They were planning to build a park over there. It was heavy. It was just like, because like I grew up in Kalihi, so I knew all of these
Right up the
places.
road, yeah.
Yeah, I knew like those faces, they're not my family, but they look very familiar to my families, So it's just like, seeing them get kicked out, seeing them get motivated, getting angry, it was mind blowing for me, So like, we watched the film. She turned it off. She's like, "Okay, here's your next assignment. All right, go home." And I'm like sitting in my chair, like in desk in Crawford. I'm like, man, what the hell just happened? Like it's something switched finally for me. And I was like, man, like I need to do that. Like, I don't know what it is yet exactly. I need to do that. And so I ended up taking a lot of local literature classes. So Rodney Morales, he had a local literature class, Mike Puleloa. So a lot of our local writers, Lois Yamanaka, Chris McKinney, Lee Tanauchi, those became my storytellers for me, and like I was just like so fascinated, so hooked. Like I couldn't get into the books in high school and in college, but like these books, like I would sit and just read about what's happening in our community and hear the voices and know these places, and I was like, damn, like I can't believe someone's telling these stories finally, and like, and then ACM started, and that's when I was like, okay, I want to just try and dabble on that, and that's kind of how it snowballed from there.
Oh, okay. So I mean, it started off with the storytelling aspect.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy. I love that those little like moments, and sometimes you hear it in people's stories that like when, like you said, like the switch happened, like a light bulb turned on, like it just that, like you found yourself right there at like the intersection, right where you needed to be, like in that class at the right time with the right teacher, and just like I love that. That like gives me chicken skin because I'm like, man, you were just like meant to be there, and then boom, like forever change. Like you can never go back after that.
Yeah, and for me, I always feel like that's, I have to pay it forward, because like if I didn't have Viviana McGregor, if I didn't have Vicky Keith telling these type of stories, and then I don't know if you've seen that documentary. Puhi Pao was in that documentary. He was one of the guys being evicted, and then from that moment, he teamed up and he formed with Joan Lander. They formed the Mako Kaina. So, they're another really solid Hawaii-based documentary team. And then those folks, like, created so much content that helped motivate me of like, okay, I know what I want to do now. And so now when I'm telling stories, I hope I can plant those little seeds to move it forward, because like that's like if I can inspire someone else to find that next one, like hopefully they can take it to the next level and then the next level and the next level. So yeah, it's finding like I'm so grateful for wonderful mentors to guide me, and I'm just helping pay it forward to the next. Yeah.
You're guaranteed inspiring so many people.
And I think what's amazing about your work too is like you tell these stories, but then not like straightforward, it's like very like through your narratives and through the filmmaking and whatnot. So it's like super interesting and really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's all thanks to my parents, because they were workaholics. So like my mom and dad were like constantly in the hotel industry, obviously. So our babysitters was the Disney Channel. It was the movies. We were like I'd sat in front of the TV for hours just watching stuff, and I didn't realize like I was conditioned to understand like how story plays out, and like what like the music when you hear certain things, like I all related back to my childhood of watching films, and it didn't like it only was only until I went into that class with Auntie Davy that I realized like, oh, I can finally do that. But prior to that, it was just consuming it and like constantly that was our babysitter. So.
Yeah. Oh, so interesting. Okay, so you're at Manoa and then you ended up at Chapman. How did that happen?
No, yeah. I mean, so when I went to when I went back to Manoa, I graduated with an ethnic studies degree, and because ACM was still starting out, so we were like the guinea pigs of that year.
What year was that?
I can't remember. I think it was 2004. So like they still didn't even have a program fully yet. Yeah. So like I basically took every single course that they had, and I'm so grateful for Anne Misawa, Joe. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I forget your last name already.
It's been a few
Moffat,
years.
Joe Moffat, and but there also Murata Mita. Murata Mita was the one that really like honed in my voice and like realizing that there's something. We can do what we do here, but like we could do it for the bigger scale, the bigger stage. And Joe was the one that pushed me to go to grad school, just because I was late in the game. Like I said, I only wanted to be a filmmaker like when I'm like a super senior in college, and I haven't really fully picked up a camera prior to that. So going to film school it's not for everybody, obviously, but I got lucky because Chapman was forming their new program as well. So they were moving into a new studio They had all these equipment, and like they were like, okay, go tell your stories. Like they didn't put a lot of parameters in us.
Oh, nice.
So that was like it was so great because all I had to focus on was making movies. And my peers, like we had that year that I got in, a lot of the fellows in directing, they were international students.
Oh.
So maybe there was like 12 of us from different countries
Wow.
wanting to tell stories, and they're so passionate about storytelling, and they've had like years of like,
Yeah.
here's some great stories to watch, here's some other films you need to study, you know, and that's kind of how I started refining my storytelling ability, and just hanging out from them like that I was just basically a sponge and just trying to do everything and anything. Yeah, Chapman was interesting. It was a different
How many
experience.
years were you there?
I was there for 3 years.
3 years. Nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Hawaii kids in Chapman right now.
There is.
One
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
kids I mentor, he's there. He's doing it in 3 years too. It's not grad school, it's undergrad.
Yeah.
But there's like so much Hawaii presence there. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's close too. It's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird, yo, because it's like, so Chapman's like in, you know, I didn't realize it was it's a straight up Republican area actually too.
Oh, for real?
So
Okay.
it was such a weird experience, you know, because like when I was at Chapman, Obama was running for presidency,
Oh.
Oh, so
and
like,
so like, wait, we're gonna talk about these stories. But like
I need to cut this, but
like we were like, so, you know, I'd walk to school or drive to school and you would see all these like these protesters protesting against Obama.
oh, that's so hard because
So
you're like
heavy.
Hawaii boy.
Yeah,
like,
it was
oh.
such
Yeah,
a weird
yeah.
experience to see. But then it opened my eyes. It's like, oh wow, you know, coming from Hawaii, like it's different. The world's different around us.
Yeah.
Like, no offense, and I love Chapman and I love that community to death because they helped influence how I tell story today, and like they given me the confidence to direct films. But bro, that area, like.
it's just culture shock, right?
Yeah.
Different.
Well,
Yeah.
And you know, like and when I came from when I got there as a college student, I had a shaved head. You
Yeah.
know, like I was shaved head because like I was lazy. I don't want to go
Yeah,
cut
you
my
don't-
hair. So like
Yeah,
I was
easy.
I was an artist. So and sometimes I'd walk, you know, to school, and then like every year I've got harassed by police officers there. It's
Oh, serious?
such a trip. Yeah.
Wow.
Like they'd like either pull me over or like I'd have to sit on the curb and like they'd check on my IDs.
No.
And
Wow.
yeah, it was
Yeah, yeah.
it was a big culture shock.
Yeah.
wow.
So that was like, okay, this is how the world plays now,
Yeah.
and
Literally
like,
things that happen in the movie. So
yeah,
you
like straight
experienced
up,
it.
I
Yeah.
was like, holy crap, this is actually really happening, and then
Uh-huh.
like, so it
Wow.
was very different. It was very eye opening, but then at the same time, like, that's how like our cohort like of international students, like we kind of cling together and like we helped each other out, and it just building that camaraderie amongst each other, like that became my home, you know. So
Yeah.
like it was.
I think that's really cool to connect with the other students because everybody comes in with their own culture and representation and perspectives, and to be able to connect like that and tell those stories that with your unique perspective and stuff, I'm sure that shaped you a lot. And yeah, like
Yeah.
you said,
that probably gave you extra perspective being on
Yeah.
that side of like
It was
you know,
different, yeah, because like, you know, we are the majority here,
Yeah.
so going up to Orange in Orange County, which Orange County is like, you know, it's, you know, the OC, so there's there's a lot of 1%ers there, so and going over there being brown was different, like, and so that definitely opened my eyes to like, oh, okay, where at least our voices are very unique, like, and you know, like they're not used to us yet, but you know, we'll have a place, you know. So
that almost like solidified more of like what you wanted to do, right? Like
Absolutely.
tell more like stories
Yeah.
of.
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's funny.
So when you're up there, did you know, I mean, if anybody looked at your body of work now, it's like very specific. Like you tell stories about things in Hawaii that are obviously important to you. But did you know, like when you're going even in film school, like this is the kind of film, these are the kind of films I want to make?
Not really. I mean, you know, we're all artists. Yeah, like
Yeah.
everything we touch is personal, right? So like, and a lot of the times, you know, like our art is our therapy. So like, I mean, I guess a good chunk of my jumping into the film industry, a lot of the stuff I was wrestling with was my relationship with my father. You know, he was Native Hawaiian. He was one of 4 kids. You know, they were put into the foster home system. And, you know, my oldest aunt had to come back and adopt the rest of the kids, and they raised themselves, you know, in the Portuguese camp, you know, in Kakako area.
Wow.
But you know, he being not having connected to his mother and his father, like he didn't have a Hawaiian identity. So like he constantly, as he was raising us, is like, you gotta be proud to be Hawaiian. you gotta be proud, proud, proud. But he didn't tell us what that is. Yeah, like he didn't have anything to explain what is Hawaiian. So like my film career as I was starting out was kind of finding that, and also relating to him, like hopefully making him proud in many ways. And so it became more of that exploration and that like film, like, you know, when you get into film, like you get access to communities and people that most people don't get access to, and like they have so much ikin and knowledge and love to share. So I was just, it was nice. It was therapy in some ways. So
Yeah. What was the first film that you directed, like when you came back home?
Well, good question. A lot of the projects that I did was working with Kamehameha schools. Because then, so like, before taking the jump back home, I was like, okay, now that I made that commitment to leave Hawaii and try to break into the industry, I actually got lucky. Because then when that happened, I got lucky because my thesis film was Stones, which was, you know, your goal is when you go to film school, you want to do a good thesis film to break you into the industry. And ways to break into the industry is if you can kill it at one of the festivals. Because once you get onto the festivals, you'll get on the radars of the studios and you can hopefully direct the film next. So, and I was lucky that that happened. I followed that trajectory and you know, praise to Maratamita, because she was like my mentor to kind of guide me that we belong in these places, in these spaces. And so when I made Stones, that like skyrocketed me to that journey already of like, okay, here's your path. Where's your feature film? Here's all the studios. Now go pitch. And I went through those hurdles, and that was the first feature that I wrote was it's called After Mele, and it was a relationship. It's about me and my father's relationship actually, and growing up in Kalihi, and so like shopping that around to the studios was so rough because they were like, can you make it less Hawaiian, or like, can you change the names of these characters?
No.
Because like, I was, you know, this is
a different era too in filmmaking, right? Or like having native Hawaiian filmmakers.
This is back into 2010. So, and it's funny, because like when I'm like, I don't know if you know Maratamita, I have to always, everything that's happening in Hawaii is because of her. I mean, there's other people involved too, but for us Native Hawaiians, like she helped push us into another area where we have access and a community. She gave us a community that we never knew we had, which is our cousins from Aotearoa, you know. So Taika would come down a lot, you know, or Sterling Harjo, you know. So like when I did Stones and I went through the Sundance labs, my mentors were Sterling, was Taika, you know, and you know they are who they are now. But we were all starting out together, like
awesome.
We're trying to figure out how to break into the industry. So I still haven't made a feature yet, and they've already completed their features, but I was going through the same hurdles of like, let's make it less native, you know, like how do you tell this great story? It's a great story, but how do we pull back on certain things? And so like what ended up happening, and it's because of the Sundance family, is that I was like, I'm not going to compromise. I'm just going to attach someone that I can bring in a lot of weight for the project. And so I was able to attach, when we met him at Sundance, was Jason Momoa, when he was first like breaking through after Game of Thrones. Jason jumped onto my project to play the father, and I got Kiko Mano, who played the son. I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. We're gonna finally do it. Like, so many people have been like dogging the project because it's not native enough, but now we have the team to make it happen, and like we're gonna get financing.
Because it's crazy.
all gonna happen. Yeah.
Because you wrote the script and you're pitching it to studios without even filming anything or planning
No,
anything.
not yet. Yeah. And so like we was finally building momentum. We got all the elements involved in play, and then Jason calls me up. He's like, "Dude, bro, I'm so sorry. Like, I just got this gig called Aquaman, and I have to like jump off. But I promise I'll jump back on." And I was like, "Okay, I'll see you in a couple of years."
Yeah.
Like,
it's a long project. Yeah.
So I was like, "Dang." And I still tried to keep pushing at it, but it was just, it didn't have the momentum. Once he left, like I couldn't get it off the ground. And I didn't want to compromise. So that was the tough thing. It's at that, like, so this 2010, like the studios weren't used to seeing our films on the mainstream yet. So I was very depressed back then. Like I couldn't figure out what to do after that. Yeah, so it was a tough.
That makes my heart like sore for you, because I can only imagine this film is like so personal. This is like your your story.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that a rejection is like must be like even more devastating because it's like this is your
Yeah.
own personal story.
I mean, yeah, right. We're artists, right? Yeah. So like we're like when people judge us, they're judging us
Yeah.
more than just the project. They don't know that really, but like it's you pour and when you pitch, they want to see you in the project too, anyways. You know, so like that's kind of like because that's what they know that the project will sing. Because if you know you're so passionate about it, it's gonna transfer over onto film. So it was a tough a year and a half when that was happening, and thankfully, while all of that was happening, Heather Juni, who's a wonderful documentarian here in Hawaii, who's been doing working in documentaries for such a long time, she had a project that she was like, "Hey, I need a director. We want to get this off the ground. Are you interested? It's about food. It's about family. It's about sharing community." And she pitched me Family Ingredients, and then I was like, "Sure, I got nothing else better to do now." So we did that first pilot, and that's what won the Emmy after that.
Yeah.
Because how long did that go on for?
We're still working on Family Ingredients now, so we're actually moving
nice.
into our fourth season.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, COVID kind of was a little a speed bump, but you know now we're looking because I was like, we really want to do the Europe side, like
Yeah.
the European lineage of Hawaii.
Yeah,
We don't haven't highlighted that yet. So there's some really special guests we want to explore for that. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I love that pitching unsuccessfully for a year and a half, and then you get this thing that just like can bring you back out of that, get an Emmy for it. Like,
Still aligns with what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, and it actually it dug deeper into what my goals were, which is celebrating our community, right? So like, and it was, and like I talk about how Hawaii, and I love LA too, but and they claim that LA is diverse, and it is, but it's not as diverse as Hawaii in the sense that we intermingle, we're communities, you know, we overlap into each other. In LA, you see the boundaries, you see the boundary lines, you know, when you're crossing over to another community. And they're very, they're very proud in that community too. So sometimes they're very exclusive. Versus Hawaii, not saying that we don't have that, but it's less. you
Yeah.
know.
It's more of the mixing, the
Yeah.
melting pot for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you got into this PBS series, and then did you just like have in the back of your mind, like you still wanted to create, like you still wanted to do a feature or a short? Like, what was that process while like still directing this one film, like, or this one series? What was the process of like creating the next one?
Yeah, everything's. I think film and art is for me. It's very spiritual. Like there's a lot of things that go into play when things happen. We were working on season 2 for Family Ingredients, so like, and that was like the epic season, that like, because we got Jack Johnson, we got Sheldon, that's the one that I was able to get nominated for a daytime Emmy, but we were filming in Vietnam. Why am I talking about presidency so much? We were filming in Vietnam.
It's the theme.
Just election time. Every time,
Right?
You operate every 4 years. Something happens.
Ooh, now here we go.
Yeah.
Can't wait for my next one. But so like it was Hillary Clinton and Trump going at it. So we were filming we were in Vietnam during the announcement of the elections, and so we were like on tour. It was actually our day off. And we were exploring Vietnam, and we're like, okay, we looked at the polls. Okay, great. Hillary's up. We should be fine. When we finally got back to Wi-Fi area and we saw that Trump has won the election, we were like, what the frick is happening? And then like we were in a foreign country, so like everyone knew we were American for some weird reason. So everyone kept looking at us, like other foreigners were looking at us and like, what's wrong with your country? And we're like, I don't know. It wasn't us, dude. We're from Hawaii. We was a Democrat, but like it was so fascinating to see that play out from outside of America and like see how the world was reacting to that moment. And our crew was actually pretty depressed because we have a lot of strong females in our crew, and like they were so stoked to finally have a first female president, and that didn't happen. But that night I couldn't go to sleep. Like that night I was just like, bro, what's happening? Like I don't know what it was. But then that's when I had that dream about my next project, which was Hae Hawaii, which was about this young boy who's required to go into the palace and steal the flag on Annexation Day. So that's kind of how that all came to life on that moment. And I couldn't stop. Like I was like even telling all my crew members, okay, I got my next project already. We got it figured out. Like I was like pitching it to everybody, and they're like, dude, we're trying to film something.
we're still working.
I was like, no, I promise it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it was just so funny how things happen, and like so that became my my next project after that.
Nice.
I was so curious about that. Like, how did that idea come to you? And
Yeah, you know, there's a story. There's stories about it, right? Like I don't know if you know about so when the overthrow happened, there's stories that some the folks from the Committee of Safety, a lot of the businessmen that was here in Hawaii, you know, not all, you know, some Americans, some other foreigners, but they're all Hawaii nationals. That when the overthrow happened, they lowered the flag, they ripped the Hawaiian flag, and they shared it amongst themselves as mementos of that day because they've been trying for years.
Oh wow.
And, you know, there's some people say it doesn't happen, it didn't happen. You know, others people think it did happen. You know, if it did happen, some of our Kupuna would have documented it because you know we have a lot of really strong documentation within the newspapers. They would have like totally blasted them about it. So we don't know exactly if that really happened. But as a metaphor for a narrative, like a short film, like that visual image can tell you everything you need to do in like a short 60-minute film, you know, like just to see them tear apart the flag, you can get the idea of what they're doing to our country.
Yeah.
So
that was a powerful moment when they had that.
Yeah.
That was like, that made me cry.
Yeah. So that's what I was like, okay, we gotta like, for me, when I saw what was happening to America, like I just went back to my country, which is Hawaii, you know, our community. So that's kind of what I wanted to tell during that period, and the fact that there was constantly folks still fighting for our community, fighting for our sovereignty, fighting for Hawaii, fighting for what was right, and those are the stories that are often overlooked, you know, because of the narrative. Like once that happened, you know, like to a lot of these white businessmen or these foreign businessmen were saying that, you know, like Hawaii wants to be annexed to America. Like they're spinning it so that the United States can see like, okay, this is something that we want to do, that the people want us to do. While in the reality, we know that there was constantly fighting. You know, there's the kūpuna petitions. There were so many things that was buried, and hopefully, you know, film is a wonderful medium to expose that. Yeah.
I love too that like when I watched it, I was like, wait, did that actually happen? So that caused me like the next thing is like you search it, right?
Yep.
And then you start digging in more, and like you're reading the articles, you're reading the newspapers, and like just that short film like ended up me like digging for like an hour and a half because I was like, wait, did that actually happen? And actually, I wanted to tell you this too, that so my daughter, we live in Waimea on the Big Island. My daughter goes to HPA, and one day she came home and she's in the 5th grade, and like for 5th grade they have like a big capstone project that they need to do, and like this was the theme is like a turning point in history, and she's very like she's Native Hawaiian, so I'm Native Hawaiian, so she's like I'm always like you need to be proud to be Hawaiian. You're like the only Hawaiian in your class. But then she came home one day and she was like, Mom, I just watched this film called Hae Hawaii at school, and
wow.
she was like, I want to do my capstone about it.
Whoa.
Yeah, she was like,
Heavy.
no, I was like, I'm gonna go talk to Tai Sanga. He made that film.
That's awesome.
But then it just sparked her curiosity too. She was like, did that really happen? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. Like, let's look into it.
Yeah.
Like, let's do some research.
And that was the hope that we were trying to do. You know, like one of my favorite shows was Game of Thrones. Like the fact that they were able to create this lore, this world, this universe, inspired by real things, but like that you can dive deep into all these different characters, all these different houses, all these different side stories that like once you dive into it, you can geek out forever. And our goal for the project was that if we can get a short film out there that gets people excited to learn about our Hawaiian history, that we've succeeded, you know? So that was, and like, you know, we had this big campaign that we want to put all this history stuff out there, and hopefully we could still do it. But we were trying to find something like, you know, we're trying to like build a curriculum within our websites to kind of dive, like other places you can go look for certain content. And so
Just providing more resources.
yeah, I think part of it, what we ended up doing is that we ended up, after we screened in 2018, we did island-wide tour, and we had like community members come and talk about the history and this and that. So that was some of the agenda that we did. But yeah, I wish I had more energy because I could really, well, there's a project that we're working on that kind of has all of that. So it's still in the works actually. Yeah.
What was it like filming at the palace and like bringing it back to like that time where they're all dressed like they probably were during the overthrow? Like,
Yeah, no, it was beautiful. We worked with the customer, Peggy Croc. So Peggy does a lot of the My Point events. So whenever they do like the walking tours, like you see everyone all dressed up. That's a lot of that wardrobe is from Peggy. So Peggy jumped on, and like for us crew members, majority of us was Native Hawaiian. So like to tell this story at the palace was so heavy. Like because then we were like at the same places that our Ali'i or our Kupuna was walking as these moments were happening. So some of our crew members were like, because usually you have to take off your shoes and put booties on inside the palace, or you can walk around barefoot, which they gave us the option. And we're like, so some of the crew members like, no, I'm gonna walk out barefoot because then I want to feel where, even though there's so many decades that it's centuries, it's gone already. But like,
still,
just to ground themselves in that area, it was very special during those times. And like we had one day filming our interior and one day filming exterior.
only 2 days?
2 days. That's I mean, because it's just expensive. So like we just had to get as we had a great crew. A lot of the folks that was on all of our friends are like on Magnum and all the big shows. So like when they were off, we were like, okay, can you come and jump on this passion project? And that's basically what it became. Like everybody that knew what it was, no one got paid. Like it was just a passion project to tell this story. And we were so grateful for every hand that was involved in it because we couldn't have done it without them.
It's a beautiful thing about this industry.
I know.
Yeah.
That makes me like want to cry. There's like a moment in the film where you see like a kupuna off to the side and she's doing the oli. Like, that moment must have been like so heavy for everybody there. Like I can only imagine.
There were so many moments that was so heavy, was very emotional. That day too, like, and, we did protocol too, because we wanted to get everybody in the right mindset that morning. Oh, no, I'm gonna get emotional. But what got heavy at that tail end, because that we capped it off with the flag ripping moment, and that was so heavy to experience live, and like even the actors that was doing it. Wonderful actor, Marino. He was, as he was going through the process, like he was in character, and then after time, I think we only made him do it once actually, because I couldn't make it do it twice. But even just that one time, it was just so heavy for him to even go through that process. That even it was a prop flag, but still, like it was just to do
the
that
meaning
there.
of it.
That guy was the one holding or cutting.
Yeah, and then the crowd watching it simultaneously. So everybody watched. Like it was so heavy to experience that at the palace. So
Oh man.
I can't imagine.
I know.
There are so many moments of that film, like while creating it and even like working on it afterwards, or even like seeing it now probably just like brings up different emotions.
And it's so crazy because like we did that 2018. And I forget when the Mauna happened, but when the Mauna happened,
Right before COVID, 2019.
2019, right after.
Next year.
Next year.
Then how they had they had that library. And someone had the flag on the library, and then the police officers were cutting the flag. And I was getting all these texts from everybody saying like, "Hey, look, they're doing it right now!" Like,
I was like,
that's crazy.
Like it was just heavy to watch. That happened, like history
in real
some ways
history was repeating itself.
Wow, it was so heavy.
Wow, what was it like going around? You said you did like an island-wide tour afterwards, like going around and seeing people's reaction, because not that often, like you as filmmakers, you get to see people like reacting to your film. That's, I think, kind of like a cool process, right? To go and like share in intimate spaces.
And so it was nice because we worked with Kanayokana, and they whenever we did our tours, it was mostly related around La Ku'uko'a, so one of our celebrations, one of our holidays. So we didn't want to dwell, and that's what the meaning of the movie is, right? We didn't want to dwell on the pain and the suffering of what happened, because we deal with that constantly already. But we wanted to remind everybody that the folks that were constantly fighting for our country, fighting for what was right, fighting for our queen. And so we tied it towards celebration. So every time we screen the film, we get them into a really strong, heavy mindset, and then we'd be like, okay, here's like how you can flip it. Like what ways can you practice your sovereignty around the world, or in a community, can you, plant kalo? Can you go to a lo'i? Can you do different things to to practice your Hawaiian identity to prove that we are still here and we
good.
haven't been fully divided yet.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like, because like, so the film, when I made the film, that short at the end of it, if you see it, when he puts it in the cave, the Ana, that was me actually, because we couldn't find our other actor. But so like we put it in the at the end of the movie, the boy steals the flag and we go and hide the flag in the cave. And so when you're watching the film, any audience member watching the film, now that they've experienced what happened, about a little bit about our history, I put the flag in that cave, which is symbolically meaning I'm putting the flag in every one of you people that are viewing this film, so that now you carry the flag with you. Even though the kingdom isn't here, quote unquote, the flag is still with you. So how do you celebrate it, or how do you velomau, wave it high and proud? So yeah.
I love
heavy.
that.
Yeah,
I love
very
that
symbolic.
explanation of that last scene. Yeah, because I can see how you watch it and it's like this like heaviness, powerlessness, like damn, like that happened to us. Like that sucks. And like I'm mad about it or I'm sad about it. And
What
but
can
then
I do? Yeah.
that's good. You can like channel that energy into something positive.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the goal, right? That's
Yeah.
like, for us. I mean, and because I've done documentaries. I mean, that's my goal. I started out wanting to do narratives, but like what kept me around was doing these documentaries, and a lot of our documentaries, unfortunately, is a lot about our suffering. About a lot of the pain in our community.
Yeah.
So, and it's sad that the only time I can talk about the positive side of our community is through these fictional narratives.
Yeah.
But hopefully it changes, and hopefully like that's my little contribution to help move the rock a little bit forward onto our side. So.
Well, one positive doc was the Hokule'a.
Yeah.
That was very like inspiring.
Nice
and
transition.
That was a good transition.
Bam! Congratulations on that.
Mahalo. Yeah.
That was like watching it. So much archival footage. I'm like, I was telling Andrew, like, I
How did
can't
the
imagine.
process of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even like going through that and seeing it and like.
Yeah, no, I mean, thankfully I've been working with Hokule'a projects for years now. Specifically working with the folks at Kupuna schools, and with Uncle Randy Fong. One of my first documentaries that pulled me back after Stones was we did the life of
Pinky.
Yeah, Visions in the Dark. So that was our first documentary that I got to do with them. And that was my first experience with all of that archival footage, because there's so much archival footage.
Yeah,
And like, so like when they reached out and said like, hey, let's work on another documentary about Nainoa. Nainoa is gonna meet with this wonderful anthropologist, Wade Davis. They're gonna just talk. We don't know what they're gonna talk about, but we'll talk about like the goal is hopefully to help promote this next sale coming up. And as we're going through it, like Nainoa kind of wanted to honor the past. And so it allowed me to like revisit a lot of this archival footage again. And so it wasn't as daunting, because this is like the third time I've looked at it.
Okay.
So I knew where things were this time.
Oh, okay.
But it's a lot.
That was like my first, like just watching like the first few minutes. I'm like, this is crazy.
Filmmaker thought, yeah, it's like, whoa, editing that must have been crazy.
Decades of footage.
Yeah.
Wow. And they're out there for a while, so it's like digging through all those like pieces of footage. I'm like, I wonder what that whole process was like.
And like I don't think I would have been able to handle it if I haven't gone through the previous projects with them. Like if I, like I think, and I'm so grateful. I mean, I guess it all related to like me trying to satisfy my father's, a wish of being a proud Native Hawaiian, but like working with the folks at Kupuna schools and with Hokule'a, like I kind of knew the story roughly, and then just picking Nainoa's brain allowed me to like, okay, here's the things that we can focus on. Here's the things that we can wrap to guide the audience into this narrative, because you can easily get buried in it, actually easily.
Totally.
Yeah, so it's like been just like an ongoing process for you then, not just like a one-time thing. So that's good. You already understand the story and the footage.
Yeah.
So that helps.
How do you approach like these legends, like all the people that you interviewed in the film? What was your thoughts going in? Was it just kind of like, we're just gonna like let them talk about whatever?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say, because you mentioned it from being at HIF, I was like, when I saw the films competing for the best made in Hawaii feature, I was like, oh, we're gonna lose to Kobe, guys, because that was like, look at all those films. So it was cool. That it was a wonderful surprise that we got the award that day. But I was just thrilled that we have other documentaries highlighting our community members. You know, all these kūpuna that have wonderful knowledge.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, keep going back to working with Uncle Randy guys. You know, at Kamehameha Schools, that's one of my first job. Like I said, my first job coming back from LA was working as an editor for co-creative at just doing their song contest. So we did the song contest pre-show every year, and I've been doing that for the past 12 years now. I moved from editor to director, and so like that experience. I didn't go to Kamehameha Schools, I grew up in Kalihi. That's probably the reason why I didn't get in.
So competitive.
The code, yeah.
But like just working and to doing these documentaries, because every year is a different theme, and every year you meet a wonderful kupuna, you know. But every year you have to learn protocol of how to talk to them, and so like working with Uncle Randy, working with Kaleo Trinidad, working with Alika, you know, working with everybody in their team, like it allowed me to like first gain access, but then also understand like, okay, how do you malama them so that they can share the best story, you know? So and then oftentimes it's like, okay, then take a step back, because then you kind of, a lot of times that and you guys know, like they have so much wealth of knowledge that they need to share. Like they just need to share it. And sometimes it's like, it's not going to make the cut, but they just need to share it.
Yeah.
And so we have hours and hours and hours and hours.
Can't really cut them off. You can't cut them off.
No. Yeah, because if you cut them off, then it's going to be hard for them to restart on something else.
Yeah.
It's so hard,
How is it different interviewing somebody, you know, like the regular interview versus interviewing a kupuna with like that kind of like ike and like stories, so much history? Like, how is it different for you?
You know, I've because I've been in this field, this documentary field for so long, I've only known one way, which is just trying to make it very casual. Like it's always a conversation. It's always make it very comfortable for them, because in order for them to reveal something heavy or a lot of
to be comfortable,
just to be authentic, you know, like I need to kind of give them that environment, set that environment right for them. And it's always intimidating, you know, like when you're doing interviews, it's like, it's so hard, especially for these kupunas, because they're like, I don't want no camera in front of my face, or I already told you this answer already. So it's like being smart about, you know, setting the environment to make them feel comfortable, and then, like, even if we have to like, oh, sorry, auntie, I made a mistake, can you try answer that question one more time? Yeah, you know, like there's different ways that I have, even, and I do that with family ingredients too, when we go and travel outside the country, you know. It's just this level of respect that we share with our subject, which is such a weird you know, terminology, but that's what it is, you know. But for us, it's growing up in Hawaii, it's like they're welcoming us into their home. So it's like we are the ones that have to kind of go below them in order for them to shine. So yeah,
that's a good mindset going into it.
I totally feel you. No, I totally feel you. And like, this was like when we did Hometown Legends, it was because prior to that, I've mostly been in the commercial space. So it's like very specific what we're looking for. Specific sound bite, and we don't want to like roll so much footage. Like we just want them to talk about this one thing that we're here to talk to them about. So I was like, and also like as a reporter, I was like trained to like cut them, like if they're going down this other, like stop them right there, like redirect them. But this is the first time, and I was like, I had like nothing. All I really was like, you can trust me. That was like what I was thinking the whole time. Like just, you can trust me. You can like trust me with this. Like they really don't need to be sitting there telling us. So I'm like, I'm just sitting here around you. Like we're all just sitting around you. We're just wanting to learn. We're so grateful that you're here. We can learn from you, and like you can trust us. Just like give us whatever you want to give us, you know?
I love it.
But it will go like 2 hours.
Like, easily 2 hours. And you only need like 10 minutes of content.
Not even that. Yeah. But that's so awesome that you get to do that in different spaces like Hokule'a and like these different pockets where
you know, and sometimes because you know we don't have the resources to do like a 2 hour interview, right? So like definitely once you build that relationship and trust with them, you know, like, okay, uncle, we're going to talk about just this, you know, and just give them parameters. Sometimes I've done that too, which sometimes it doesn't always work, but, you know, starting off with parameters will help you be later when we ask them, hey, uncle, can you go back to this again? Yeah, that would help, you know, so that's,
Yeah, I like that. And just that continuing the relationship, because with them, it's like once you're in, like they just, it's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
It's like I can keep coming back to them, like
Yes.
going visit them,
There's
and
that
I'll get
trust and-
more gems from them. Like it
Mm-hmm.
is like a relationship, and like being intentional to like, this is not just an interview, like this is a relationship, and like I'm gonna meet their family, and
Yep.
I am like now entrusted with this knowledge that they're passing down to me. It's like it's a huge kuleana to
Yep.
like take care of it in the like pono way, like not just make a film. Like this is like now it's a lifestyle.
you know,
Being
and
very intentional.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what people don't realize. Like that's what separates us Hawaii filmmakers versus everybody else. I mean, not saying that everyone else doesn't have that mentality, but like that's what we're doing in these stories. Like we're building these relationships to help, you know, like elevate with their story, but like it's maintaining and strengthening these you know, these different fabrics that are entwining together. And it's like you never want to break that trust, because then if you do, then it's just like it's gonna like snowball, and uncle gonna tell someone else, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't like talk to them because they did this and that, and it's
Yeah.
Especially in Hawaii.
very much in Hawaii.
Everybody knows someone.
Yeah.
Everyone knows each other.
Everybody's connected.
Yeah.
Have you had a moment where you're like, dang, like this is for sure, like I was meant to tell this story, or like I was meant to like be doing this? I'm sure you have like several, but what's a powerful one that you can remember?
Oh man, that's a great question. I don't know. I guess it changes from project. I feel like every project is the one, right? Because you pour so much of your soul into it. Yeah. I guess people don't realize like because even, and I edit my projects too. So like not only like I walk it all the way through from the beginning all the way to the end.
Oh wow.
So like, so I'm spending time with the characters, the story, even just editing the sound bites, or you know, like so like sometimes the sound bites resonate with me as I'm going through the process, you know. So every project is different. I mean, Hae Hawaii definitely stood out for me because it's like it like I never felt like funny. Yeah, so like my one of my other business partner, Laiana Kanoa Wong, you know, he's like, you know, very ku'e, like very like, hey, happy for the kingdom, you know, we gotta, you know, like restore the kingdom, this and that, you know. And prior to that, I was like, yes, but we still have other things, you know, like because I'm a Hapa kid too, you know, my mom's from Filipino, you know, I grew up in Kalihi, you know, we're very eclectic. I was raised going to a Japanese school, you know, it's very eclectic.
Yeah.
But after working on Hae Hawaii, it changed my perspective of like, no, yes, we need to, you know, like, I don't know how the kingdom's going to be restored, but there is a big injustice that happened. And that like I felt so proud to be Hawaiian for the not for the first time, but like I understood what that meant, like a bigger kuleana that I never had before, and so I guess that's what's leading me to some of the other projects that I'm working on. But I think from that, like I think that's kind of changed my pivot. I mean, it changed my direction.
Solidified.
Yeah, of what my purpose for this chapter, I guess, is what I've been focusing on. Was just about restoring the pride of our kingdom, of our people, and like not saying we need our kingdom, but restoring like or elevating the iki kupuna, the ali'i, you know, even ali'i too, of like what they've done for our kingdom. Like it's so crazy that that's been ignored or
So much
swept on the
history.
rug.
Yeah.
Like our ali'i they fought to elevate Hawaii on like a global level, and that all just disappeared when we got overthrown. So like just to bring that to the forefront, I think if people understood that, they would look at Hawaii completely different. You know, so yeah.
When I was like becoming a filmmaker or like getting into like this industry, like there wasn't that many models or like examples of like, look at Ty, like look at what he's making. You could make something like that, you know? But now I see you, like I see like Kalihi, like choke, like local,
lot.
you know, that's like making good stuff that
local,
can
yeah.
compete with hello, like you're at all these film festivals, like winning all these awards. So it's like really putting Hawaii on the map in like a huge way.
We hope so. I mean, and the beautiful thing about it right now is that we're a really strong group of filmmakers. Like we all like we text each other on, you know, the daily. We like check on each other. We want to make sure everyone's doing all right, because it seems glamorous and it seems like what we're doing is so fun and like exciting and like I want to be on, you know, like shared by everyone, but like it's a struggle. Like it's not easy. It's so hard. It's hard on your career. It's hard on your creative. It's hard on your family.
Yeah.
There's so much sacrifices we have to make, you know. So for me, like a lot of the times, like I'm reaching out to my other filmmaker friends, like Aina, Aaron Lau, everybody, Kiara, like, hey, how you guys doing? You guys doing okay? You guys need help in anything else? Because it's like, sometimes we're in our bubble and like we feel like we're just fighting by ourselves, you know, and like we want to be able to support each other. There hasn't been like jealousy or fighting. Well, not that I know of, but maybe I'm like, so far away. They don't like tell me, but like so far, like we've been all extremely supportive of each other because we just want to see them rise, you know, like it's and just like when you think about like other films, other cinema, even like the Italian too. Yeah, we talk about Scorsese with Coppola and all of them. Like they all have unique voices and a unique vision. So like even though they're telling Italian films, it's very different. So like for us, it's telling Native Hawaiian films, it's gonna be completely different, and we need that because like if we're gonna say like Hawaii's gonna be on top in the film industry. Like we need an eclectic group of filmmakers that can tell horror, that can tell, you know,
like
sci-fi.
I think the beautiful thing of it is like, yes, the industry's so beautiful and like films are such a beautiful medium, but you guys all have the same, like, you know, the filmmakers here have all the same goal of like empowering Hawaii and the stories and elevating the voices. So it's just gonna go up, you know, and like people are gonna start noticing.
We haven't been jaded yet.
Hope never.
Yes, never. Yeah.
I love it though because it's like people actually have like these kids coming up, the next generation that are like so talented, have like amazing ideas. They actually have mentors, like built-in mentors that they can look to, you know, to be like, okay, you know, like this was Ty's path, like this was Aina's path, like this is it's cool and all different, but then also just like being an example of like you can do this, like go find your voice, go find the thing that matters to you, and go make your film, and get ready for the hard work. It's
not all easy.
It's not easy. It's so not easy. And you just have to make films. Like that's the only way you're gonna get better at it. It's like you have to realize like how you work, because there's certain things that you are really strong at, and that you're weak at, and you can't do it by yourself. So you need to find other team members. Like you have to collaborate. That's the only way.
Yeah. Of all the things that you do, like writing, directing, editing, like what is your thing that you like? It's your forte, I guess.
Oh man, my wife's probably gonna say editing right now because that's all I've been doing.
Like all she knows you're doing. Yeah.
Well, I miss directing. Like honestly, I miss directing so much. That's why I'm like, I can't wait to do my feature. We're working on a feature right now that hopefully we can get off the floor. And that's been like my that's why I did Hae Hawaii, because I'm so glad to finally go back to narratives. Because then there's something about working as a director, working with other wonderful talents, and like, you know, like we're all working off of a script that either you wrote or someone else wrote, but just to see other talented people jump on the same project with you and elevate it to a level that you've never seen. Like I was like, oh frick, I didn't think of that blocking or that lighting in this room. I didn't expect it to look like this, or like, you know. And when you give them something that they believe in too, like, oh man, they do a killer job, and it's just like I couldn't have done that. And like there's something fun about that, you know.
That collaboration aspect of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's such a high. I bet like to be on set,
just kind of bouncing off the energy and like the
because I mean it, you know, every day is like, sometimes it's like, oh crap, okay, we only got 10 hours to get this shot off. And like we're gonna scramble and everyone's struggling to get it off, and like we're like, all right, how are we gonna finish this? And then like someone comes up with a wonderful idea, and that's like, holy crap, okay, let's do this. And then like it's such a rush.
And then it happens, it's like, oh yeah, we did that. Look at this shot.
And then the crazy thing is, like, you know, you go into editing or you go into you screen it, and everyone's like, oh, they don't even care what you just did.
Yeah, exactly. They don't see it.
They don't see the blood, sweat, and tears.
The lighting, how it hit his
It was like a 2-second shot, right? Like 5 seconds even.
We spent the whole day doing it.
That was 10 hours. No, I think that's like, Yeah, I think that's why like I enjoy like BTS stuff so much, because it's like you get to see the process,
The magic, behind it.
People don't realize.
Yeah, it's tough.
People only see the final products.
And I think there's something about that we need to start educating our community, our Hawaii community, about like because right now like film is glamorous, and because people know like, oh cool, like Momo is here, he's doing Chief of War, or like Magnum's filming right now, or not Magnum, NCIS is filming right now, like okay, that's fun, but like to see behind the scenes of what we have to really do to do quality work. I think there's a disconnect that the audience or even the government don't realize yet. So because if we had the support that like New Zealand or even Korea had for our film industry, like that would be so different. It would be so different. Yeah.
How can we do that?
How can we do that?
It's gotta spread awareness.
More BTS, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll do a feature film BTS on the feature film.
I think a little bit needs to be for sure about that. There needs to be some form of campaign that helps them understand that. Yeah.
Gotta tell the stories of the filmmakers.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. Can you tell us a little bit about this feature that you're working
tease
on?
us.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's. I'm collaborating with Zoe Eisenberg. This is a wonderful female director from Hawaii Island. She just had her feature film that's playing at Sundance this upcoming 2024.
Nice.
She's a wonderful writer. So she wrote a screenplay that takes place on Hawaii Island. And I told her to lean into the Native Hawaiian aspect of it. So we're collaborating on it. And it's about 3 generations of Native Hawaiian women. The oldest, the grandmother, she has this beautiful land on the Hawaii Island. And then she starts to have the early onsights of dementia. So she starts to like think that her neighbor is trying to kill her. And so her granddaughter has to like figure out if grandma's telling the truth or is the neighbor really trying to kill her. So it's a little bit of a family drama mixed in with Parasite and here on Hawaii. It's a dark show. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Change up. Yeah. That's
change
exciting.
Yeah.
Can I just be a fly on the wall on set for you?
Oh yeah, you're
I'll,
right
like,
there.
hold the
She'll
boom.
film the BTS.
I think
There you go.
I
I'll
think
film the
we
BTS.
agreed to that, right? We did the BTS of the film.
I think that just happened right there. Yeah. We gotta
Good
record.
Thank you.
Nice.
Nice. When are you? Is this next year?
Well, we're still working on it. We're finishing up the next draft, and we're trying to attach a few talents to it. So if we can land a few of them, I think we should be able to go. Because I'm ready already. It's been a while. Like I haven't directed since 2018 for Hae Hawaii.
Oh,
so,
it's time.
It's time. Yeah, you're due.
Wow, 5+ years.
Yeah, everything's been docked since then. So that's why I need to go back to that. Yeah.
Just tired of editing already.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
tired of editing for real, bro. I know you're
Tired of archival footage.
Actually, I'm sure every editor, every filmmaker understands.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, no, thank you for, sharing your story. And so like, is there any advice you would give to like an aspiring filmmaker, Native Hawaiian filmmaker, trying to tell their story or just trying to figure things out right now?
Yeah, I guess 2 advices like don't get hooked up on like having to be perfect right away. Like it's especially when you're starting out, like you just need to learn how the process is. It's so difficult. That's why like you're gonna make so many errors. But then sometimes like you can get so obsessed. Maybe it's a good reason because then you can find solutions. But like sometimes like I've seen other filmmakers like they've gone out and made movies and they've never shared it. Like and it's like bro, like so many people sacrifice so much to be a part of your film and you don't want to share it to anyone because you don't think it's worthy enough. Yeah, or good enough. So like just go out and make stuff and it's it's okay. Like that's what we that's how it happens with films. Like we just give up. Like we just like, okay, this is it. Not gonna touch it anymore. Let the world to see. Yeah. Don't be a George Lucas and go back and keep changing it. So
Don't be a George Lucas. That's a soundbite right there.
Well, maybe be a George Lucas. And then the other thing is finding your mentors. Like that's really what helped me out a lot. Like, and there's a lot of people that want to help other folks, other filmmakers. So just finding the right mentors that you could, and it doesn't have to be in the industry, just to find even your voice as a Native Hawaiian. Like it could be anyone in our community. But that helped ground me immediately because then it's like, okay, what was important or what is important, and learning from them was extremely helpful. So yeah.
Nice. No, that's great advice. Mentors
What
is a big
would you
one.
say to say somebody is like breaking into the filmmaking industry and wants to make this film, but like living in Hawaii is like super expensive. And I mean, it, like you said, like even Hae Hawaii was like a passion project. Nobody got paid, which is beautiful, but not sustainable, right? So like, how would you say for somebody who has this idea for a film, but they don't know how to like do it sustainably? Like, what would be like the first step?
Yeah, and that's the hard part, right? Because like I think it's unclear how to become a successful filmmaker, right? Like, what does that
What
even mean?
is that? How do you
Like,
define that?
Yeah, like how do you? Yeah, exactly. Are you going to be successful in the sense that you're paying your bills because you're just doing editing jobs, right? And then you every once in a great while you do your passion project. So important, especially if you're talking about being sustainable. Never quit your day job. Like you always have to have a day job. And thankfully, obviously our day jobs are film, but like when you're starting out, like if you're still working at Apple, if you're still doing something else, like still keep that job. Don't quit yet. Like you need to like put food on the table. So like you can't quit right away. Like and then work with, if you want to work, I think the main thing is to find out what you want to do too. Like if you want to be a writer, if you want to be an editor, if you want to direct, if you want to direct commercials, if you want to direct on TV, if you want to work on television, like there's so many pathways to work on TV if you want to go on NCIS. I think for me, for being a director, like if you want to be a writer-director, you have to write constantly. Like you have to have, like if you want to be a writer, you should have spec scripts ready. You should have TV scripts ready. You should have a feature film ready. You can quickly start shopping some of those around so that people know what your writing skills is if it's even there. But every time you write, you're gonna get stronger. So you just gotta keep writing. For directing, you have to also direct. Like you just everything from like even just a 2-minute short to a 5-minute short, then just keep building and learning how the structure works and what you realize succeeds and fails. And then kind of building from there. Because then once you get those basic building blocks, then like hopefully you get recognized. That's the next step. Yeah, getting recognized is just like how do you promote your stuff, right? Going to festivals, getting screened, getting people in studios to see your stuff, getting an agent, So like the big goal is, and I don't still have an agent yet. I've should have, but I've withheld that because a lot of the stuff that I've been doing for studio right now is for writing, and I haven't. So I didn't need an agent yet. But if I'm trying to get in as a director, I know folks that are peers that because they have an agent, they've gotten TV jobs.
Interesting.
So yeah, depending on where you want to go, you have to find out that pathway. And sometimes it's not. Once you get there, you realize it's not what you want to do. So it's such a tough.
Keep an open mind too.
Yeah, it's such a. That's why sometimes it's like you can't quit your day job because it's like it's so hard.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good advice.
Yeah.
I think one thing I would add to that too, like just because like I just started in this journey of documentary, but then just like getting connected to people in the industry, like Pacific Islanders in communication, like other directors, and there's every island. There's like amazing filmmakers, directors, writers.
I think the great thing is, like you said, they're willing to help and they want to give back and teach. So it just doesn't hurt to reach out. And,
Yeah. I mean, you always have to be careful. You can't be naive. Because there's. I mean, if this was LA, you would tell them you basically wouldn't say that out loud to everybody because sometimes there's predators in the industry and you can't be like we have to be honest about that. So like as we protect our community. But like when you talk to people and you realize like who the good ones are, there's a lot of us out there.
No, that's a good point though.
Yeah,
I'm glad you
is a great
said
point.
that because I like coming from Hawaii, like working in the industry in Hawaii, like I have that mentality too. Like, oh, everybody is like community over competition. But then I met with this writer from LA and he was like, he loved the idea and he was like, you want me to take it to this one person? He was like, what do you want me to say? I was like, just tell everything. Like, no, because they're going to attach to the idea and they're going to want to claim it as theirs. I'm like, oh, that actually happens. He's like, this is Hollywood. Like, that's what happens in Hollywood. I'm like, dang, okay, So use good judgment.
And just be cautious. I mean, like, it's hard. Man, we talk about Hollywood stories. We have a lot of those. I mean, I don't want to
That'll have to be part 2. We're gonna bring Ty back.
because that's a lot. There's a few of us that that took the jump to LA and that didn't make it, and it's hard to hear those stories. But then that's because like we just trust everybody sometimes too.
Yeah.
So there's a
Coming
few,
from here,
I mean, I thankfully Orange County gave me the big culture shock.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, I was like,
Kind of prepped you for that. Yeah.
I was like, dang, okay, gotcha. So but it is and that's why I mean, I'm so grateful that Maratamita introduced us to to Taika, to Sterling, to other community Black Horse Low. Like all of them kind of help protect each other, And it's like
Oh,
we had a
good.
community out there to kind of like at least get your back, Sometimes they're like the industry is so hard and there's so many things that there's so many paths to it, but to be able to like go to someone and say like, hey, is this a right move? Am I doing the right thing? Should I talk to this person or not? They've been extremely helpful, and I think our community here in Hawaii, like we have that cohort of folks that like, hey, just give us a comment, we'll talk the story.
Nice. Oh, I love it.
Thank you
Well,
for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on here. I feel like we could go on for another hour, but we're already done an hour, so want to be respectful of your time too. Is there anything else that you wanted to share or promote?
What are you excited for 2024?
His feature.
Yeah,
I know
feature.
that.
It's
We're
gonna get picked up.
Yeah,
We're gonna do the feature, and then you guys are gonna do the BTS. That's all I'm excited
It's
about.
done.
Done. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, where can people find you?
I'm at Thai Sanga, both on Instagram and Facebook right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Look out for his films. Go watch the other films that he was directed if you haven't already. I know like the Hae Hawaii is on
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah. And
And
Hokule'a is
is not yet.
Not yet.
You can find the family ingredients on pbs.org. I think it's also going to go streaming to either one of the other bigger platforms, so you should be able to see
Oh,
that.
nice.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for the next
Yeah,
season too, right?
season 4. Well, yeah, we're in talks for season 4, but season 3 right now is on PBS currently, so
Sick.
people can watch it. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for being on and sharing all your knowledge and story. And we're just stoked to see the next thing that you create.
Thank you.
It's going to be awesome.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for watching. Please follow us, subscribe. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thanks for watching.